everybody, it's Romania Black, and we're on episode 12 of Trigun. Ah, man, I was really sad with the last episode because it seems like Wolfwood is gone for a while, and next episode is the halfway point in the series because there's 26 episodes, so it seems, I guess, fitting that Wolfwood leaves around the halfway point, that he's kind of served his purpose in being introduced, and we see how much him and Vash have in common, but how different they are and how they gel. But also, I feel like Wolfwood, he feels like he's kind of stagnant there and he needs to get away and go do some soul searching. Hopefully that all works out. I feel like I've seen a trope where a character like him will leave and then come back in like the final hour. So with this being 26 episodes, my hope is that maybe he'll come back around like episode 18 or 19 as we go into the final arc of the series, and then he's there to stay, right? Or he'll show back up at like an episode 24 and I'll be like, where have you been all this time? But I'm gonna miss him because I love Wolfwood so much. And who knows? Maybe it'll be like episode 10. We thought in episode 9, oh, Wolfwood was just a one episode character, there he was, and then he instantly came back the next episode. So maybe Wolfwood will show back up, but I don't think so. I think the fact they said he had to go on and do his own thing, he's at least going to be gone to like 14 or 15 probably. So I'll be like, okay. Just long enough for Vash and them to get in trouble, because Wolfwood was really good at being kind of a buffer. So the fact that he's gone now, I am a little bit concerned, because Wolfwood was a nice like moral action buffer for Vash and Meryl and Millie. So, but we had our Romeo and Juliet episode last week that was very weird and very fun. And this week, and we got a little bit of hint into the darkness within Vash. That he can be a good actor. He can play the role if he needs to. And I feel like that's foreshadowing for what's to come. But we're going to find out, right? So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see where this episode goes and what we end up getting, because it's episode 12. Next week's going to be the halfway point. So is this going to be a two-parter leading us to the halfway point, or is it going to be a standalone episode? We've only had a couple two-partery episodes so far. So usually they're very episodic standalones, but as we move forward, I'm wondering if we're going to get more with the plot and go from there and start connecting things and it becoming more intertwined in a very concise, distinct narrative. So we'll see, right? But I want to give a special shout out over to Patreon and our patrons to thank them for supporting me, and thank you all for supporting my Patreon, my channel, and me just rambling about these series that I love. So thank you, Patreon, and a special shout out to our philanthropy tier, where we have Edgar, Dana, Alex Cornejo, Be Happy, Kiri, Librarian of Lang, Shimoyama, Truck, Nameless Monster, Tyrone, Anime Annie, Eric, Kuba Lutek, Sunspots, Translucent Men, and Anna. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. All of my love. So, yeah, let's just get on started with this, shall we? I'm pretty excited. I hope you all are too. I do want to apologize. Anthony has pointed out in the Discord that the timer is not entirely syncing up with the episode, and I apologize for that. It's very difficult for me to edit with the timer. It's been why I've been avoiding it all this time, but with Trigun Stampede, I wanted to use it because I probably will have to be for copyright, and for other series from different studios that are like cracking down on reactors, I kind of need to as well. So it's a work in progress. I'm trying. I'm doing some suggestions that some of them have posted on Discord, so I'm going to keep working at it. So I just apologize if things are not entirely synced properly. I do try to keep the subtitles, so at least there's that to kind of go off of too if all else fails. But we're not going to waste any more time. Let's dive right in. We're going to start Trigun episode 12. I can't believe we're almost halfway. It seems like it's such a long series, but it's gone by pretty fast. We're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's get that sweet, sweet OP. Wolfwood's gone for one episode and everything goes to hell in a handbasket. Am I right? Oh my god, what was this episode? Oh my gosh. I thought, Wolfwood's gonna be gone. We're just gonna like breeze into the next town. It's not gonna be this insanity. Oh man. So of course Whiteboard Coon had to come out. Of course. Because Legato and because whatever. What? Oh my god, y'all. What do we do? I'm so intrigued. So questions. questions about Vash, right? Questions about Vash. We're going to put that up here. Our questions about old Vash, and that marker has about seen the end of its days. Am I right, y'all? So we need to talk about Vash. Yes, there we go. We need to talk about Vash. What the hell is he? I was getting major like Doctor Who, Superman vibes. The city with all of the plants. Was that July? Was it a different city? I want to know all of the things. So clearly, what is he? I don't think he's fully human because he can telepathically communicate with another of his own kind. Maybe. So we have Legato Blue Summers. Legato Blue Summers. That gives me such a Doctor Who vibe, because in Doctor Who they all go by monikers, like we have the Doctor, the Master, the Ronnie, and things like that, but they all actually have real names, but you're not supposed to know their real names. So Vash the Stampede, Legato Blue Summers, like they're all like code names, right, for what they are. What? And I wonder if Blue Summers is because he has blue hair, right? Now Vash the Stampede, the humanoid typhoon, we're not sure, but Legato Blue Summers is clearly the same, I'm going to put type in quotation marks, as Vash. We don't know anything else. We just know that they are similar types, right? Because they can communicate with one another. And the moment he walked by Vash knew that he was someone like him instantly. And I was like, oh, like such a creepy vibe. We're going to talk about Legato. Legato is interesting. But we start out this episode somewhere in a cellar, somewhere, we don't know exactly where, and there's like a cavern and a mansion on a hill. I want to go back to when the lightning struck, right? Because they intentionally made it freaking dark so you couldn't see, right? Okay, so there's this cavern that it looks like a mouth opening up, right? This cavern in the middle of nowhere. We don't know where it is, but there's like a castle or a cellar. And deep down in the cellar, there's bullet holes everywhere and like ammunition. And this guy has been training for 20 years. There's like knives and weapons. And then there's Legato, who looks like a Kingdom Hearts character. Something out of Final Fantasy. But so we have the assassin. I'm going to put him here. And we know that the assassin has been training for almost 20 years. Until this guy has shown up, right? So what does he tell him? He shows up and sees the guy, sees Legato there. And he says, how long have you been standing there? And he says, I've been watching you the entire time. Which is creepy in itself, because the entire time, have you been there for 20 years? What is happening? Why is he dressed like this? You're a creepy guy, yeah. I'm surprised you really showed up. So yeah, like he has the trench coat like Vash, except his is white and Vash is red. And it seems in the flashback like Vash had the red trench coat then, but his has like the skull and the things on it. It's so bizarre. But he's like, did you think it was the idle talk of a drunk? You can't blame me if I did. So he's saying that like whatever he heard, he thought it was a rumor because it was just somebody drunk talking, like it wasn't something to take serious. And then he says, when you're stuck in a cellar smelling gunpowder for over 20 years, you stop caring whether talk is true. Okay, so Legato came to him saying, hey, did you not hear that Vash the Stampede is here? That he's back? And this assassin guy's like, look, I've been down in this cellar for 20 years. You hear a lot of things. I don't really consider, gossip to be something to take for face value. And then he's like, so tell me, who am I hunting? So then so he wasn't sure, and that's when he says Vash the Stampede. And he's like, oh, that gate, I can feel the shivers. Now I understand why I've been doing this all this time, like preparing for this moment, right? Show our master your gratitude for taking you in. Okay, so our master. So Legato, I'm going to put down here, Legato and the assassin both serve the same master. whatever that amounts to. So he took him in, and Legato serves him. So there's somebody. Legato is not the final boss, is basically what is being established here. The assassin was like the C-level boss. Legato's like the B-level boss, but there's someone that they're both serving that is the head honcho of all of this, that is going to be the final boss. So that is what this is establishing. We're at the halfway point. So of course now would be the time, if we're going to set up a villain for the rest of the series, we need to do that. So Legato is not going to be the end-all be-all. I feel like I've heard Legato's name before, but I don't remember if it was the episode with Rim where I can't remember if the person that Vash killed, who he was wanted for killing, was Legato as well. I'm actually going to go back to that episode, Lost July, and see what they said. I'm going to pull that up here, the Lost July episode, and I've got my sound turned off, and I'm going to find that moment where she confronted him. I can't find it, but he was wanted for murdering somebody, and I don't think it was Legato Blue Summers, but I can't remember. I feel so bad. I can't remember what it is, but but I don't think it was Legato Blue Summers. I think he was wanted for killing somebody else, for being a murderer of somebody else, but I'm not sure. We'll find out. We'll make that connection at some point. But yeah, so they are basically serving the same master, the two of them. And then we go to this shoe store, and it's like blood red skies, and it's storming, and Vash is just going on and on about finding this man. I've been looking for you a whole week. You're almost never open because shoes aren't the only things that you sell. And he's like, you like to talk. I hope you like to talk about shoes. And he's like, I just want to get some shoes, get them replaced, right? Which kind of makes sense, right? But apparently Legato goes and sees him too and frames Vash as the guy who, I guess he's been murdered or silenced. We don't get to find out for sure. They show us like a ton of dead bodies in this episode, which I was surprised by. I was floored that they showed us corpses everywhere of little kids too. I was like, oh my God, this show last week was just setting up that it could get dark. And this week they're like, we're going to go full on in. Like, we're not playing around anymore. Trigun is not playing around. We're getting into some serious stuff now. And I'm like, oh. Okay. So we have like Millie and Meryl reminiscing about how wonderful the city is. We don't know exactly which city that they're in, but they're really happy about it. And then on the other side, we see Vash, and he's being nostalgic, saying the sky is ridiculously blue, and wishing that he could share it with Rim. Now, we know for a fact that with Rim, let me put this over here. So things we know. Not a lot! But things we know is that Rim is Vash's moral center. Rim is Vash's moral center. She is whatever is happening. She is the reason that Vash keeps doing the things that he's doing. She's the reason that he doesn't kill anybody. She keeps him on the straight and narrow. Whatever Rim is to him, he loved her, and he wishes she was there to experience things with him, but she's not. So he's trying to be a good person for her, right? He's like, I still keep thinking how I'd like to show it to you, and wishes that even though it's no longer possible, and wishes she was here. And it's like one of the few times that he gets really sincere is when he thinks about her. And then the kids show up and it turns into Croco's basketball for a second as he plays with them. The sucking technique, the intense suction technique with the basketball, I'm like, in a show where you're flirting with a Wolfwood Vash ship, that's not something you should do. And then his weird tongue holding the basketball, defying the laws of physics. But then again, maybe Vash doesn't appeal by the law of physics. And I think it's important to notice that Millie and Meryl are both seeing different things about Vash, right? Like Millie, oddly enough, Millie has been the main witness to Vash's real side, right? She's seen his real face, or at least a form of his real face, a few times. With Meryl is kind of struggling, right? She is struggling with Vash's complex personas. Because at this point, Meryl has not only seen Vash be this insane goofball that's just, kind of a dunce and an airhead, but then she's also seen him be incredibly compassionate and kind and smart, but then she's also seen him be like really dark and stoic. And so she's trying to figure out, Meryl's like, well, which one is the real Vash? And it could be all three. It could be all of the personas could be the real Vash. But Meryl's seeing that there's more to Vash than meets the eye. And what he's been showing them is maybe not all that there is to his feelings. And she's like, about that. She's like, I just don't know how to read him. And then that's when they get the ice cream for all the kids. And Vash notices the little girl and goes to get her ice cream. But then she runs away, right? What's bizarre is that she runs away and runs back to the alley, and Vash notices her. But then she takes the hot dog from the guy later. So, what? Like, she doesn't take the ice cream, but she takes the hot dog from the man later. So what the hell's the deal? I don't understand. But in any case, they're playing basketball. Everything's going fine. And that's when Legato walks by with the hot dogs. And the bag. What's in the bag? And the moment that Vash's like perspective changes and the screen gets all pink, it's like, oh no. From there on, this episode just got amazing because I was like, what is happening? And the fact that they can communicate telepathically is sending me. The fact that nobody comments about this man with spikes coming out of a shoulder and a skull in his thing. But you know what? The fashion in the Wild West is pretty outrageous. So maybe people are just like, what an eccentric fellow. But this conversation where he instantly knows who he is and they can communicate telepathically. This buff man, they're sitting on opposite ends of the dial. One's in white, one's in red. And he's just sitting there eating the hot dog saying, I have found you, Vash the Stampede. Oh my God. And he says, who are you? And he says, well, I'm Legato. Legato Blue Summers. And Vash doesn't, we don't get to see Vash's reaction. Millie sees it, and Millie's like, why did his face change like that? But we don't get to see Vash's reaction. If Vash knows, I think he figures out who Legato is after the fact, but at first, it doesn't seem like he knows who he is. And he's like, oh, what's the deal? And he's like, what are you after? He puts the glasses back on to hide his face, and he says, your life. And then Vash kind of laughs at that, which is like that dark laugh. He's like, oh, did I overdo that a little bit? He's like, was that too dramatic? I'm only here as a messenger saying somebody else is going to come for your life. Now, the question is, why didn't Legato fight him? Like, why is that not happening? Why does he have to go get an assassin for killing Vash? Why, unless he was sending the assassin to test Vash out and see what he could do, and would he actually kill somebody, and he didn't want to do it himself. The master apparently wanted to send the assassin. Like, why wasn't Legato the one responsible for it? So why is he just being a messenger? That's the weird thing. What's the deal? He kind of has hair like Wolfwood a little bit, but he looks terrifying. He says, your life ends today. And Vash is like, excuse me? He's like, do you think I'm lying? And that's when he like calls the little girl, and he just has his legs crossed. He's just like, hey. And the thing about it that's so creepy about Legato, the thing that's so messed up about Legato at this point is that Legato does the exact same as Vash. He does the goofy persona. He like waves the little girl over and is like, hey, I got some hot dogs, come here, and gives her the hot dog. And he makes Vash see in his mind him crushing her skull, and then he goes, just kidding, let her go. It's freaky as hell. Like, the fact that he can do the same thing that Vash does, the fact that they can put like images into each other's mind is terrifying. He's like, I have to give you a gift. And he's like, oh no, we're good. Oh my God. And Vash's reaction just like, oh, just terrified. He's like, if I wanted to. And him just laughing. Your reaction was better than I hoped. You're fun. If I wanted to, I'd kill every man, woman, and child here. But then why don't you? That's the question. So supposedly, Legato is strong like Vash, but he's just playing with him. Why? Why are you just playing with him? Why are you sending an assassin to toy with him? At this point, it's like, why aren't you doing it yourself? If you want Vash gone, why aren't you beating around the bush and just doing it yourself? What's the deal? Why send an assassin? Unless he was testing Vash with the assassin, and him and his boss are planning to use Vash. For whatever purpose, we don't know. I mean, we are led to somewhat believe that maybe there's not that many of people or things like Vash left. So maybe Legato and Vash are like the last of a dying race. They're tied to the plant somehow. Are they human embodiments of the energy from the plant? Are they weapons that have like personifications that are fueled by the plants themselves? What are they? What is going on? So, but there's not, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people like Legato and Vash left. I get like such a doctor and master relationship from Doctor Who with Legato and Vash. I'm still floored that Legato makes those taunts and clearly could do some damage, but just wants to have the assassin come instead. It's very bizarre, right? He's like, if I wanted to, I could do this. And Vash is just getting mad, like, what are you doing? He's like, don't be in so much of a hurry. You still have a little time left. Or perhaps I'll leave outsiders out of it. Would you like to draw? Oh, that face. Oh my God. And Vash is like, I don't want to face him right now, but what the hell? And so we get like the close-up with his glasses, and then Legato's like, that's a smart choice. So yeah, Legato's saying like, we could leave the assassin out of this and you could fight me here and now, but I'm not going to guarantee that people aren't going to get hurt, you know, but you don't want to do that. And he says, this is a going away present. It contains a lesson from me, so I'll leave it here. And so then it's like, what the hell? Like, she says, and then what's in the bag? He won't talk. Is it his tongue? He won't say a word, my husband. Is it his tongue? Did he put his tongue in the bag? Like with the hot dogs? What the hell? Whatever happened, like we don't know if Legato killed the shoemaker, if he cut off his tongue and put it in the bag with the hot dogs, which would be equally disturbing. We don't know, but whatever the case is, they're taking it pretty seriously, and then they found out that Vash the Stampede, he was also closest when the shoemaker's body was found. Okay, so the shoemaker is dead. The wife was just hysterical that her husband had died, and she just was like, he's not making a sound, like didn't want to admit that he was dead. Okay, so whatever was in the bag was probably a part of the shoemaker. Oh my God. And Meryl tries to talk the sheriff out of it, but instead they lock Vash up. And they have chains and everything. Like, they are not wasting any time. I also want to make note that the image of Vash and the chains is very similar to the image of Vash on the mountaintop with the cape, with the jacket blowing in the wind. The way the chains are set up, it looks like the way the jacket was blowing. Now, that shot of Vash is like the most serious. A little going away present, I'll leave it here. And then, yeah, Legato, your life ends today. What is happening? And so Vash is trying to remember who the hell he is. He's like, what is he after? The $60 billion reward? No, probably not. Like, what would he have to do with it? And that's when he remembers, is it him? And we go back to this beautiful, shining city of gold. And there are power plant lights all around. There's like light bulbs everywhere. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like 6. They're all over the place, right? It's just like this city in gold that's just like shining like this most brilliant thing. Oh my God. And there's a man over the top of a desk. There's a man with blood everywhere. And this guy is sitting on the desk right beside him. And he looks over and he's like, oh, hey, Vash. And he has the gloves. His armor has similarly like the holes and stuff like Vash's coat does that you see the arm and stuff under the coat has. So it's almost like, again, Doctor Who vibes. It looks like the armor that they wear on Gallifrey, right? What the fudge? And he's like, and the way he says, oh, hey, Vash, like, ignore this corpse right next to me. How's it going? What the hell? And then, yeah, he's just sitting on the desk, and it looks like he's wearing a suit, and his hair is cut similarly to Vash's. Like, it's cut with a little spiked up hairdo. Like, what? I mean, if this is Legato, he's probably grown his hair out, and it's all, like, down now instead of up. But it looks very similar, and he's just waving at Vash. And Vash is just crying, like, what have you done? Like, what? And then that's when it shows things blowing up. So, was that flashback in the city of July? Was that the dad of the girl that was engineer? Was it Legato's fault? And was Vash the one that, like, everything started, and now he's remembering back before the event? We don't know, but that very well could be, right? But that look on his face, the look on his face that Millie sees when he has the demon eyes, and then he instantly transitions. He's like, oh, hey, guys. Like puts on the smile. And Wolfwood, up until now, had been the only one to really notice it. But I think Millie and Meryl are both onto the fact that, Vash is, he's putting on a front, right? And that's when the assassin comes in. And then we have this Legato just standing up on the hill watching from afar, right? And the one city with the one power plant thing. Oh my gosh, what is happening? What is happening? But yeah, I was really worried about Meryl and Millie in this episode because I was afraid that they were going to get hurt. And Vash is like, you've got to get out of here. I worry about the next several episodes and when we get to climax because I feel like Meryl and Millie are not going to leave him alone because they feel like Vash needs to be with somebody before he goes berserk. But then I feel like they're just putting themselves in danger. So, and this show proved this episode, it is not afraid to kill women and children and show you the bodies to prove that it did. I was like, oh my God. Because yeah, that's the breaking point is when the assassin, what's his name? Monave the Gale decides to take their lives. Monave the Gale. He's like, I've been training for 20 years to fight you. But once I kill you, I'll be done. And then, yeah, Vash is like trying to get everybody out of his way so they'll go away because this guy is serious and will hurt them. But then he says, well, fine, you can go up with this town. The line work in this episode, can we talk about that real quick? The line work on Monave and like the thickness and the boldness of the lines, it was so good. Like the emotion on Vash's face, the emotion on his face, like the assassin's face when he's like about to be killed, like the line work was so thick and bold. It was so impressive, right? It was just so impressive. And then everybody in the town gets blown up. And that's Vash's breaking point, is seeing all their bodies. He's like, that's it. And he shoots him, like, instantly goes for the face. Like, doesn't waste any time. Oh my God. And yet just the emotion on Monave's face, like looking down as he's been shot, like that is, the drama in that line work is impressive. It's just absolutely insane. But yeah, seeing the eyes of the Diablo. And him pointing the gun. Yep. Like that's just, it's incredible. I don't like seeing Vash like this. Seeing Vash with those dangerous eyes, it's absolutely terrifying, right? And then his arm has the same type of armor. Yeah. Like just the close-up of his face. It doesn't look like Vash anymore. It's like I'm having a nightmare. Oh my God, those eyes. Yep. Yeah, those eyes. So the question is, with those eyes that are glowing evilly, right? So with the glow, is it power? Is it just something stylistic and we're supposed to like, it's more than what it actually is? Or is it power from within Vash, like supplied from the plant? Because it's the same color of light as the beams that came from the plant back in the Lost July episode where he absorbed all the power. So is that like just stored up within him? We don't know, right? We don't know. But then, yeah, he goes after the assassin. The moment that the girls try to get close and he says, stay away from me. And he's like, stay away from me, like I could hurt you. Like, I don't know if it's just figuratively him, like metaphorically being like, I'm in this attack mode now mentally and I don't want to confuse you with the assassin because I could go off kilter at any moment. Or is it like literally an auto switch has flipped and his body is like in attack mode and he could literally hurt them without meaning to? That's what we don't know, right? That's what we don't know. Because he tells Meryl and Millie, she's like, Meryl's like, that's not him. That's not the man I know. And I feel so bad for Meryl because she's just like got tears in her eyes. And she's like, we can't let him go. Like, if he goes now, he'll never come back. She's like, we have... And I think that that's true both literally, if he leaves to kill the assassin, he's going to leave them and never return. And also, figuratively, if he kills them, he'll go over the edge and won't be the Vash that they know anymore. So I'm like, I'm watching like 5 series where everybody's like, don't let them become a murderer. And I'm like, oh, damn it. Okay, fine. But yeah, and then Vash just skulking. And he's like, he's all bulked up and everything. It's, oh my God. And then Monave says, isn't he supposed to be so wimpy he can't kill anyone? So Vash has this reputation. Apparently, between the two of them, we have Monave the Gale. Monave the Gale. Vash the Stampede. Legato Blue Summers. Okay. So we have the Gale and the Stampede, which are both like methods of destruction, right? So was Vash supposed to be like a living weapon, kind of like Monave, or have this special power, kind of like Monave? And he just instead, they talk about Vash being a wimp. A wimp that won't kill anybody. Maybe that's like how he was. He was just designed to be this weapon by whatever, and then he wouldn't do it. And so maybe that's how he met Rim. We don't know yet. We don't know hardly anything about Rim except that she's dead and Vash misses her. But he says Vash is supposed to be a wimp that can't kill anybody, so they're testing him. To see how strong he is. But he's like, but I still have to kill him. And so the thing with Monave is like, he's like, I've been training for 20 years. This is my only way for freedom is to get rid of him, despite whatever happens. So it's kind of terrifying. And then that's when Vash realizes he has 2 bullets left. I like that it's Planet Bank. Okay, also Planet Bank. Like, we could be getting into like some interstellar like aliens. We don't know for sure. What the hell? Don't know. We just know that Planet Bank, some kind of interterrestrial things, basically aliens is the explanation for Vash. I don't know, but that I find that very interesting that we have like some kind of interstellar thing. Like that's one of the first hints of it that we've had in this series, which is fascinating, right? And then that's when Vash uses the explosion as a distraction and manages to cut the gun. And he just looks like a monster, right? Just looks like a monster from there. And he's like, you have no more bullets. So then that's when that's when the bandage rips off and the hand turns out to be like, it breaks down to be a gun. That it was a gun the whole time. So yeah, a hidden gun where his hand should be. Like, what is Vash? And that's when Monave realizes he could have shot me all along. He could have broken out, even with the handcuffs, he could have broken out and shot him to begin with. But he didn't because that's not Vash's character. Vash would not do that unless he absolutely feels like he has to. And with Monave killing the people in the town, he felt like he had to. But man, Vash just coming up saying, you killed them, they're all dead. And the moment that Monave says, so what? He points the gun at his eye and says, people are dead. So yeah, so we have the leg, the arm. So like, what part of Vash is human? What part is machine? What part is something else? We don't know. I have so many questions about what Vash is and how he came to be. But we don't know. And then the line work on Monave's face as Vash has the gun at his head is incredible. He says, you killed them. And then he begs for his life. So you should die with them. And he says, please don't kill me. And Vash is about to do it. And that's when he has the flashback about Rim. And they're again sitting with the blue sky and the rose petals. And he's like, I was dreaming. Everything was so horribly dry. Even people's hearts. So wherever they were at was not in the middle of a drought or a desert, wherever they started out with. But so he talks about everything being dry, including people's hearts. Like they weren't not like what he's used to with Rim, apparently. Right? And so then he questions with Rim. He goes, I watched the people who lived there from far away. And I kept wondering why they went on living. Like, he's like, things seem so bad there. Why would they even bother? You know? And that's when Rem laughs at him. And he looks over. And she's like, oh, well, even when you're dreaming, you're serious. And she says, you'll turn into an old man pondering like that. She's like, you could spend an entire lifetime wondering why people live the way that they do and why they go on surviving in such desolate conditions. She's like, you'll wear yourself out trying to think about why that is. Instead, she says, just be happy knowing, as for me, I'm excited the ticket I was handed at birth is blank. She's like, my future is not written. She's like, I'm just happy to know that I can do whatever I want with my future. And that's the moral center that gets Vash, asking myself what my possibilities are. Is all I can do. She's like, my future is blank ahead of me. All I can wonder is, what are my possibilities? What are my options? And I just have to, that's all I can do. I just have to wonder with what the world's going to give me and go with it. And that's when the song starts that she sings to him, and day breaks and he takes the gun off. And yeah, and God, it's like that all in there. It's all a machine. His arm is entirely a machine with the fake hand and everything. Oh. And then he just like looks up into the sky. This is all I can do, is make the choice to not kill someone. It's like, that's the decision I can make to stop the cycle, right? And I love that Meryl sees him and she's like, okay, he's not gone yet. He's still here, right? Oh, and him holding the gun that's his arm. If I shoot him now, you would really die. Being like, all of your hope that you have for me, Rem, would die if I shot him. Oh, I want to know his backstory so bad now, and I know we're going to find out, so please no spoilers, but I'm just like, now I want to know. I want to know Vash's history. I want to know what's up. And just him crying at the end. Oh my God. So yeah. I just need to know. I just need to know, right? I just need answers, and I know this show is going to give them to me, but what an incredible episode. I freaking loved this episode. I am so intrigued by Legato. I want to know more about Vash. I want more flashbacks. I want to know the history, and I have a feeling we're probably going to get them as we go on. So, yay. But I'm curious to know your thoughts about this episode down below. Ha, ho, ho, ho. In the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more Trigun.